One Battle After Another showcases Paul Thomas Anderson at his boldest and most urgent, with a giant odyssey of chaos and insanity that grounds itself in reality and absurdity.
I absolutely adored One Battle After Another. This was my most anticipated film of 2025. We're both huge Paul Thomas Anderson films. He is one of the auteur masters of his day in cinema. And my God, he probably made his most mainstream movie. Now, we're going to talk about this film completely spoiler-free, so you guys can watch this without having to worry about us revealing anything specific. We're going to give you our general reactions because luckily we were so grateful to have seen it at the Los Angeles premiere last week.
And this is loosely inspired by Thomas Pynchon's 1990 novel called Vineland, but ultimately an original tapestry of Anderson's own realities. The movie stars, obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio's Bob, a paranoid, washed-up revolutionary living off-grid with his teenage daughter, Willa, when Bob's long-buried past catches up and his daughter goes missing, courtesy of a resurfacing nemesis played by, and with menacing glee, Sean Penn. The ex-radical must do what he can to find her.
I'm just so happy that directors like Paul Thomas Anderson are still doing what they do without compromising. And you got to give it to Warner Brothers. They cut him a big check. And
the biggest check of his career.
Yeah, a huge check.
Leo got a big check.
Yeah. Oh, he always gets a check.
25.
PTA doesn't usually. You got to give Warner Brothers, their entire team and executive management, credit for giving an auteur a huge budget to make something original and make something unique. I have never seen a film like this on a filmmaking scale. This was earth-shattering. The VistaVision was absolutely mind-blowing. Such a gorgeous film to see on screen. See it in film projection if you can. 70mm, IMAX 70mm, VistaVision film. If you can see those projections, try to get a showtime. If not, it's still going to look great even on digitals because the VistaVision quality film looks great even when it's scaled down to the digital projection. I was so blown away with the lighting, the camera work, the overall essence of what PTA's vision was. And I gotta say, this is probably the front runner for Best Oscar. Best Picture.
I was about to say the same thing. I think that Paul Thomas Anderson's finally due for an Oscar win. And for such an acclaimed filmmaker to have made such brilliant movies in the past, whether we're talking about There'll Be Blood, The Master, Phantom Thread, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, this guy's career is all time in American cinema, coming up around the same era as Tarantino, 90s independent film booming. And he's just a singular voice, such a terrific writer. You know, not many directors are as good writers as they are directors. And, you know, Tarantino and PTA and some others are really in that one class of just being exceptional screenwriters as well as filmmakers and directors. And PTA has just grown so much with each film. And, you know, Phantom Thread going so far as to doing the cinematography as well with his DP partner. And just having such a mastery of the language of film, whether it's framing, cinematography, lighting, characters. And I think that this film was just absolute batshit crazy. It's bonkers. The things that happen in this are insane. The biggest set pieces he's ever had in a film. Like you said, it's his most mainstream movie, for sure. This is going to have projected about $30 million opening weekend, which is pretty solid, but I think the word of mouth is going to be absurdly good for this film. And, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio is just amazing. He's so funny. Without spoiling too much, he's somewhere in between Rick Dalton and the dude from Big Lebowski for me in this movie. He's hysterical. He's so funny. So much energy on camera as always. He gives it his all. Sean Penn, the best role I've seen him in years. Probably since Milk. And Milk's a great role because it doesn't have his normal ferocity that, you know, he's always like a dog that's just waiting to get unleashed. Sean Penn on camera, and his character Lockjaw is just so unique. It's so crazy. The physical acting is ridiculously funny. He has this ridiculous gait and walk in this movie. I won't describe what it is because I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but Paul Thomas Anderson clearly gave him specific instructions to walk like this happened to you.
I saw a few early reaction reviews saying that they were surprised at Sean Penn's incredible performance.
Sean Penn!
And I was like, he has 2 Oscars.
Sean fucking Penn!
2 Oscars!
Is that my daughter, Sean?
He's two-time
surprised.
2-time winner!
It's because he's been out of the limelight for a while.
Yeah. But I gotta say, and I have to see the film again, he's probably my favorite movie villain since Hans Landa.
Wow.
It's that good of a villain. He is so different and so original. What PTA and he came up with, who this villain is, it's one of those like deliciously evil, you can't take your eyes off of them kind of movie villains that I think will be put on lists of all-time movie villains going forward once everybody sees this film. It is absolutely a standout performance from Sean Penn in his already illustrious career. I think he should win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I think he'll definitely get nominated, but being a 2-time winner, it's kind of hard to get that, pretty hard to get that third win. But I think he should win from what I've seen from actors so far this year. And then also the rest of the cast. Teyana Taylor, absolutely phenomenal. Benicio del Toro, fantastic.
As always, as you expect.
Yeah. Regina Hall really brought it dramatically. And then Alana Haim and Wood Harris, they have really good small supporting roles. But standout Chase Infinity, playing Leonardo DiCaprio's character's Bob's daughter, Willa. She is dynamic and has an incredible screen presence. She's going to have a big career going forward. This is her first film, which is pretty crazy because
she was on Presumed Innocent, the Apple TV series. She plays Jake Gyllenhaal's daughter on that show.
Gotcha.
For just that first season of that show.
Crazy.
But that's the only other credit she has outside of a couple music videos.
This is her film debut, which is absolutely insane. And she holds her own with some of the most experienced, acclaimed veteran actors of all time. That's really saying something.
I want to explain VistaVision to everybody real quick because it's obviously marketed as the first film since 1961 to be theatrically released in VistaVision, which it is. There's a big misinformation. Well, not misinformation. A lot of confusion with The Brutalist. People keep saying in our comments, The Brutalist was released in VistaVision. It was not. The Brutalist was shot in VistaVision, but it was released in 70mm projection.
Partially shot in VistaVision.
And so this is the first film since 1961 to actually get released theatrically around the world in very few theaters, but in VistaVision. It was shot in VistaVision as well. Now, VistaVision, you can only see this screened in Los Angeles at the Vista, as well as in London at Leicester Square, the Odeon, and then New York City. I can't remember the name of the theater there, but there's a theater there playing the actual VistaVision projection. You can still see it in 70mm if you can 35mm find it. Now, VistaVision is a widescreen 35mm format developed by Paramount Pictures in 1954 to compete with other widescreen processes like CinemaScope during the widescreen wars of the 1950s. Not the streaming wars of the 2020s, the widescreen wars of the 1950s.
Make your picture as big as possible.
Now, unlike standard 35mm film, which runs vertically through the camera and exposes a 4-perforation 4-perf frame, VistaVision runs horizontally, exposing 8 perforations per image per frame.
And a perforation are the little holes, the notches on the edges of film that the camera or the projector will clasp to help it roll out.
Now, this creates a larger negative, nearly double the area of standard 35mm, resulting in a much higher resolution, finer grain, and superior image quality. The format was nicknamed Lazy 8 due to the horizontal film path and 8 per frame. The film moves horizontally, like I said, through the camera, and it's equivalent to roughly 6K to 8K digital resolution in terms of sharpness, dynamic range, and just massively superior image quality, plus much less film grain. And it looked incredible. We saw it in 70mm projection, not VistaVision. Oh my goodness, it looked good.
And this is like, just because it's film doesn't mean it can't be as high in quality as the highest quality digital cameras that are out there. IMAX is already like still the king of quality, which is crazy to think. We're all obsessed with new technology, but still, when you go back to it, IMAX film is still number one. And this is a great alternative to IMAX film. Similar theory with enlarging the frame size by going horizontally, but it's an amazing looking movie. I think that this is going to be nominated for pretty much every award category you can think of.
It might get the most nominations of any movie of 2025.
And Warner Brothers is on a roll with this and Sinners and Weapons. 3 great original stories from fantastic directors. And I really hope, and I have a good feeling that this is projected on the low end of about $25-30 million to opening weekend. But I think with great word of mouth and early press, this is going to get huge numbers of positive reactions. I think it's possible that we can push this over the edge to make it the 8th Warner Brothers movie to debut at $40 million at the box office.
Spielberg's recently come out saying he's seen this movie 3 times. He says he loves it. To quote him, "I have not seen a movie that is so tonally relative to Stanley Kubrick's Doctor Strangelove," which is so accurate. This brings a kind of absurdist comedy taken very seriously, but it's so much reflection of what's happening today, every day throughout this country. But it takes it to a point where you want to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you're going to start screaming, "This is too real." And this is an accurate statement. This is, in a way, PTA's most political movie. He's had politics involved slightly in his movies in the past, but for him, it's definitely a swing for the fences moment, not just in terms of boldness, but as well as what he's showcasing in terms of the realities of America and a lot of countries today.
And that's what Doctor Strangelove was during the crisis of nuclear war and the ever-growing fear around the populace. That was a story that, in an absurdist, humorous way, talked about those issues. And I think that PTA did the same thing. And we won't get into any specifics, but there are tonal things and things he created in this story that they don't technically exist in our world, but they are metaphors and parallels for things that exist in our world. And so it gives us the ability to laugh at something that might be serious in the real world and see how ridiculous it is when he in the way he slightly twists things in this movie. You'll see what we mean when you watch the film. We hope you do. But you'll see what we're talking about with this very unique, humorous tone that he went out with.
And Leonardo DiCaprio, guys, we all love him. He's amazing, but he's never worked with Paul Thomas Anderson before. He almost worked on Boogie Nights. He was almost Dirk Diggler in that film, and he's been on doing press here and there, and he's talked about how it was one of the biggest regrets of his career is passing on Boogie Nights. He said, it was a profound movie of my generation. When he saw that movie, he just thought it was a masterpiece. And it really is. And we're going to be covering it in a couple weeks on the show because it's one of Paul Thomas Anderson's best. And it's all the way back in 1997. But he was busy doing Titanic. Understandable. Mm-hmm. He became the biggest movie star on planet Earth after he made Titanic.
And Mark Wahlberg was perfect in Boogie
he
Nights.
was.
I think that movie, he was the right choice ultimately. Things worked out.
But PTA with Leo DiCaprio is almost like when we saw Michael Cera in his first Wes Anderson film recently in The Phoenician Scheme. And you're watching the movie and you're just thinking to yourself, or I was, Michael Cera is perfect for this world. He's the paintbrush that Wes Anderson's never had before, but he just fits in his utility belt so perfectly, so well in the world. Leo and PTA, because he's such a riveting, controlled, powerful actor, but also will swing for the fences and basically go to far lengths to get whatever kind of performance he needs to for a role. He can do humor, he can do drama, he can do action, he can do a little bit of everything, which Leo does in this movie. And PTA and him just fit so well together.
And I gotta say, if there's anyone out there that complains that Hollywood doesn't make original movies, if you don't see this movie, then you can never say that again.
You didn't see Mickey 17.
This is a fantastic, original, unique film. There's nothing like it. I've never seen anything like this movie before. And it's really special. And even in PTA's filmography, it does stand out as something just completely different. And he's done some very out there movies. But this is just like some crazy boiling pot of so many cool ideas and tones and flourishes and characters, and somehow it works. And if you don't see this movie and you complain about there not being original movies, that's a problem. You gotta watch this film. We know everybody who's a fan of this show loves PTA, and we know you're gonna go see this film.
And the trailers are really good, but you know, the trailers make it seem like a big action movie, which it is at times. You know, there's huge set pieces, awesome stunts. We got explosions, we got guns, we have car chases. But at the end of the day, it still has what every PTA movie has, and it's great writing and great dialogue and excellent discourse and fantastic characters that all have really specific goals and wants and desires that connect, and great nemesis and enemies for each other. And I think that's really kind of what's not missing from the trailers. But don't forget, that's what you're getting in for. This is a 2-hour and 50-minute movie-ish, something like that. So it's a long one.
Flies by.
But yes, it flew the hell by. And I will say, of the entire year of 2025, it has, I think, the most visually stunning sequence of the year. It's a car chase. A little snippet of it is in the trailer, but I gotta say, this sequence, I was waiting for it because I thought it looked so good in the trailer. When it finally happened, it was unbelievable how unique and original and expertly filmed this chase sequence was. And it was chef's kiss. And I kept thinking to myself, this is what cinema's all about, baby.
Ever since Licorice Pizza, I have been dying for PTA to shoot more action because of that, the reversing the van down the hill scene.
Yeah.
And that is an action scene in Licorice. It's an action scene. And it was intense and it was jaw-dropping. And I was just like filled with fear. It was unbelievable. And since then, I'm just like, I've been like, I hope he does action soon. I'm just so curious to see how he films it. And holy shit, he did not disappoint, because I gotta agree with James. This was one of my favorite action sequences in years. You've never seen anything like it, because you have a visionary filmmaker shooting it and envisioning it with a great team. And he came up with something that we've never seen before in an action sequence.
You know, I'm a little afraid to talk more about it because I don't want to spoil it. And we've done a good job of kind of being very vague and ambiguous about one battle after another. And all we want is just for people to check it out. Mm-hmm. You know, we'll cover it in more depth in a couple of weeks once it comes up. But I mean, we saw this on September 8th, you know what I mean, a while ago.
Thank you.
And, you know, we're so lucky and fortunate that Warner Brothers invited us, and we were so honored to be at the world premiere of a Paul Thomas Anderson film. You know, a guy we've looked up to for years since we were teenagers, watching Boogie Nights and There'll Be Blood and Punch Drunk Love and Magnolia, and really, really falling in love with cinema. And PTA is one of the reasons why I think both of us love cinema so much. His movies are so relatable, and this one is highly relatable. You know, it's in the realm of relatability, like Eddington was for Ari Aster. And Ari Aster. So I think we kind of leave it here, get people excited, but you're not going to want to miss one battle after another. Definitely, if you can, see it on film projection. If you live in LA, New York, London, try to get tickets for VistaVision. I'm sure they'll be playing it for a couple weeks once it's released in that format. Film, if you can see 70 millimeter, even better. IMAX theaters will be playing it. It's going to be playing in IMAX, as well as other 70 millimeter theaters. 35 millimeter if you can, but if anything, see the movie no matter what in theaters if you can film.
Yeah, if you can't do film, try to do an IMAX screen, because they're going to play it in digital IMAX too, and it's going to look amazing and sound amazing. The sound design's insane. And so even if it's not film, going to IMAX will be worth it.
All right, let's leave it there. Thanks so much always for tuning into Raiders of the Lost podcast. Do all the things that help our show. Become a member on YouTube so you can actually listen and watch to new episodes before they get released. You can also become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. Get bonus episodes every single week. We're doing our long walk bonus episode. Will be for Patreon only, as well as members on YouTube at specific tiers. Don't forget to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Our great sponsor, movieposters.com, provides us with this great One Battle After Another poster. It's in this beautiful light box as well. Use our code Raiders10 at checkout today from movieposters.com. You get 10% off. Use our affiliate link in the episode description as well to get us commission. Win-win for everybody. And as always, take care.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Nicholas Martin and Jacob Kossler. Raiders of the Lost podcast is a mirror image production.